So I'm going to welcome you. This is the Small Business Forum. It is an opportunity for you to connect with your fellow business owners, learn from experts and each other. Please participate in the introductions and the conversations as we go along today. Just simply stay on mute when you're not participating. Please post your email to Julie Preddy. Julie, you want to wave to everybody. If you go in the little drop down, you can send her a specific message and we will send you the notes and links and other useful information from the forum today. We will be recording for ASBTD education purposes. And as a registrant and attendee, if you send us your email, you will have an emailed copy of the presentation and the recording. So I just want to say hello to everybody. We will be hosting this forum on the last Wednesday of each month at 12, and the topics will be based on your feedback, because what you need to know is what's important to us, and you will be our guide for this forum from this point forward. So again, that's the last Wednesday of the month. You are our first group, and so we're exceedingly excited to have you here. We would love to continue staying connected. So again, please provide us your email so that we can send you all of the juicy information that we're going to get from our panelists today and from you and each other. I am Amy Robinson, and I'm here with my colleague and co-host, Chris Case. Say hello, Chris. We are specialty consultants with the ASBTDC, and I'm going to turn it over to her for just a minute to tell you a little bit about the center.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. The ASBTDC is a one-stop shop for startups and existing small businesses. We are associated with the University of Arkansas and affiliated with the SBA and the statewide ASBTDC, as well as a national network of more than 1,000 business centers. Now, locally, we offer complimentary one-on-one consulting that includes business planning, market analysis and strategy, financial modeling, and much, much more. We are also offer programs just like this one, covering the relevant topics for business owners and answering any questions that come up throughout the week and trying to get all of your questions answered. But if you're not already a client, we really encourage you to visit us at sbtdc.uark.edu. Amy, back to you.
Thank you. Well, we'll introduce our panelists in just a moment, but I want to reiterate that this is for you, and we want to bring you these programs so that you can interact with each other. So we would love to get to know you a little bit. So I'd love to do a quick go round and ask you to take a moment to tell us about yourself and your business. You can just say, hi, I'm so-and-so, my business is. You can also tell us what you're interested about in this topic today. This will help us get to know one another and give our guests some context so that we can dive directly into a meaningful and informative conversation. So I do see some friendly and familiar faces, and maybe some people that might be used to me doing this to them. So Emily, I see you. Emily is with Mount Sequoia, and so I'm wondering if you would be one of our brave people to step out there, say hello, and give us a little context on what you're doing here today.
Yeah, so as she said, I'm Emily Gentry. I'm the president and CEO for Mount Sequoia. We are a retreat and conference center. We're a nonprofit. So I found out about this from the restaurant forum that this organization also collaborates. It's great. It's so super informative. It's great to connect with other people. That's been specifically on food related items, which is very helpful for our culinary program. But I wanted to just join in on this to connect with other small businesses, because we do a variety of things. So not just food, we have kids programming, we have indoor venues, we have lodging, we have an arts program as well. So we have a lot going on. And yeah, so like I said, I'm just excited to network and learn.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Leslie Schwartz, how are you today? Great to see you. Would you like to say hello?
Yeah. I'm not kind of a little far. Is it like too spotty, or is it sounding okay?
It's a little bit spotty, but then it starts to come in. We'll try for just a minute. It seems to be doing okay.
Okay, perfect. I'm a little far out. Okay. So we're pretty much we have two ventures going right now. We just got a LLC on our excuse me, kiddos. We got an LLC on our tree business that we restarted, and then we got into that because we moved out to a plot of trees, land out here in Goshen, and been starting a farm since 2017. So kind of two-sided like venture in the community that we're finally kind of reaching out to and like meeting more people as we go and get a little bit more confident in like footing and stuff like that, down a little bit more of a path essentially. So kind of new to everything in that sense and kind of figuring it out in the area and everything. So.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds exciting, adventurous, and you said starting to get yourself out there. So you're in the right place today for sure. Thank you so much, Leslie. Allison Malone, you are a small business. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. Yes, so I'm here, I guess, probably dual purpose. First and foremost, full disclosure, I do work as Chris and Amy do as consultants to ASBTDC, helping clients out with human resources. But yes, I'm also here as my own small business. I do executive and leadership coaching. AllisonMalone.com is my website, Allison Malone Coaching. So yes, and I definitely struggle with putting myself out there and putting my business out there. So I'm here for my own business learning.
Good, that's fantastic. Colin Queering, if I'm saying your name right. I love that last name. How are you today?
Good. It's actually Quiring.
Quiring, thank you. Like inquiring. Fantastic.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I work with a small consultancy group that we do business intelligence, Power BI kind of stuff, data, and I'm just kind of seeing what these are about and if I can learn some things.
Fantastic. Well, we hope that you can too. And we have Daniel Jordan. That's an easier name for me to say. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for hosting this. My wife and I are looking to open an independent bookstore here in Fayetteville, probably this fall. And so we're looking at, maybe some ways to get the word out before we open to kind of build some momentum going into it. But
that sounds fantastic.
Daniel, we were just talking about books and bookstores, and we are all crazy about them. So we just had that conversation before you guys all came on.
I like it. I like what's behind you, Ashley.
Exactly.
Thank you. We should chat. I have a PhD in English, and I think we
totally.
are sympathetic spirits.
Definitely.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Good place to connect. Fantastic. Antoinette, how are you today?
Good. I'm actually just here for moral support. I don't own a small business, but my friend Ashley with the great books mentioned this to me, and I had some time over my lunch hour, just kind of wanted to pop in, support, and learn some things. That's been one of the positive pieces of the pandemic, is being able to do some of these virtual lunch and learns on my lunch break. So I just
true
today.
Antoinette's being very humble. Antoinette has an amazing podcast.
Good. So she knows about getting the word out. Excellent.
She does.
Good. Well, Randy will be able to tap into that a little bit. So I think you might learn more than you think so, Antoinette.
Well,
that's awesome. That's great. And Richard, last but not least, how are you today?
Hey, hi, everybody. I'm a client of the ASBTDC, work with Lori a lot. And my company's Food Recycling Solutions, and sister companies with Food Loops, if you've heard with them. I'm highly tied into the restaurant business because we pick up food waste from restaurants and other food facilities and turn it into usable compost for area gardeners and farmers. So struggled last year, obviously, along with our fellow restaurants, but I feel like it's a miracle and a blessing that we are still breathing here, and looking forward to the summer, hopefully, when things pick up and turn around. And that's interested in just being tied into learning and other small businesses, and wanting to always, of course, support small businesses in the area. So we do also zero waste events and sell compostable products and the compost and obviously pick up and collect food waste to make this Northwest Arkansas a nice circular economy. So good to be with you.
Circular economy. I like that idea. Fantastic. Ecosystem is a little tired. Now we're going to go to circular economy. I like that.
Yes.
Well, you have set us up wonderfully because exactly what you said is exactly why we're here, is to connect all of you. We have been listening to our clients, and so we do know some of the topics that people are struggling with. So we will try to bring in experts, and we'll call them panelists today, to kind of bounce some ideas off of. I want to re-encourage all of you. This will be a conversation. So if you have some tips, if you have some ideas, we don't always have all the answers. And so we are learning from you constantly as well. So, and learning from each other. So now without further ado, I would love to say hello to our panel. Before I do, I'm going to say Danny and Julie are with ASBTDC too, and they are here supporting us. So don't want to make you think that I missed somebody in the introductions. So thank you both for being here. So now we're going to talk about how to get the word out about your business. And we have a Randy Wilburn, Ashley Robinson, no relation, even though I would claim her if she wanted to be mine, and Lindsay Ramsey. And Lindsay is with the ASBTDC, but she has a small business story of her own. So I'd love for all of you, maybe just starting with Ashley, to go around and tell us a little bit about yourselves, and maybe one of the things that you've learned personally to be a key to getting the word out about your own business.
About the business that we own, or just in general, like general?
Or in general, like even from your clients. Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure. My name's Ashley Robinson. I own Interrobang. We are a storytelling company based in Northwest Arkansas. We specialize in helping businesses like you use story-based marketing techniques to connect with the right people the right way, in ways that grow relationships. So Interrobang started because I have a PhD in English, which basically means that I went to school forever to be able to be a storyteller. And so all of my, everyone who works in Interrobang also has PhDs. So we bring that kind of expertise to our clients' work, which is very, very fun. So I think the thing that I have learned most is that from my clients who we work with to tell their stories. So we've worked with the Environmental Defense Fund, McDonald's, Tyson, and smaller companies as well. But what I have found very interesting, even in my own experience, is I know my business's story the best because I have written it. But there's a disconnect between me knowing my business and being able to articulate it to other people. And so the real art and challenge both is in taking what you know in your heart, because you're here already because you're passionate about what you do, right? Nobody starts a business because they're lukewarm about something. So taking that passion and translating it outward in a way that makes sense to other people and also resonates with other people. And so on one level that seems simple, right? It's like, oh, I just have to tell my story, but it's a little more, there's more mechanics to it than that, which are not impossible. They just take work. So I hope we get to talk about that a little bit today.
Yeah, that's a great point. Talking about yourself is one of the hardest things that a small business has to do. Randy, how are you? Great to see you. Tell us all the things that you're doing. You've got a laundry list. As soon as you can get off mute. I saw a cup once that said, there's a mug. I'm going to get the mug that says you're on
Zoom
mute.
should figure it out. My name is Randy Wilburn. I own a company called Encourage, Build, Grow. We do leadership development, communication, and personal development, primarily for design professionals, but I've worked with a lot of different companies that are not in the design space. I'm also the host of multiple podcasts. I've started to call myself a serial podcaster now because I've probably done about 700 podcast episodes, and I've been doing podcasting since 2009. So this is something that I've enjoyed doing, and it's a way to tell a story. Podcasting to me, and voice specifically, is, I think, the next frontier for getting your message out. It's beyond just having a website. It's being able to be in between people's ears, which is probably the most intimate space that you can be in. And when you think about how people consume information nowadays, most people consume it in bite-sized pieces. So when you have an opportunity to do something a little bit more long form, like a podcast, it definitely is important for you to have your story lined up and to be able to, connect yourself with that listener. And so that's something that I work on. And I've been doing podcast strategy consulting now for about 4 to 5 years, and I really enjoy it. So I'm excited to be here, and I hope to pick up some things from Ashley, and she's got some great stuff. But I think storytelling is an underutilized skill. And if you go back to Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, we all have a hero's journey. The key thing here is that you walk away at the end of today kind of understanding, what is the hero's journey for me? And more importantly, what's the hero's journey for this entity, this company that I'm birthing and creating and trying to share with the world? So if you look at it from that lens, I think you will really benefit from the short bit of time that we're going to spend together here. So excited to be here.
I love that. Fantastic. Lindsay.
Yeah, sorry, crinkle, crinkle. I just made some noise there.
Okay.
So I'm Lindsay Ramsey, and I kind of wear 2 hats on this call. I am a consultant with the ASBTDC. I can consult in several different ways. In particular, I do a lot of social media and marketing consulting. And I also just sold my business. So I also come to you as a small business builder and owner and lover. So I owned Kindness and Joy Toys in Fayetteville, and I built it from the ground up. And I just sold the business in mid-January. And, telling your story was a huge part of how I was able to build that business. I felt like I was able to be transparent from the beginning as a mother. And so I had an interesting story to tell about why I owned a toy store. And it was critical in the building of my business. And honestly, to the point, even when I was able to build it to a place I could sell it, just real transparent through telling my story on social media. And I love the fact that you own a business in this community also means that you have to be a business storyteller, because so many people in this community want to support local. They want to know your story. They want to be a part of it and know that they are participating in that. So I think I'm all the more passionate about it because of the community that I live in and also work in now in supporting other small businesses.
That is so, so true. You all have fantastic stories and journeys, and I really want everyone to feel free to share their fantastic stories. Love the hero's journey. We don't often think of ourselves as heroes, right? But we all are. Lindsay was a hero mom and opened a toy store, and that's a great story to tell. Well, I will go ahead and just we'll kick off one again. Please feel free to throw any questions that you have into the chat, or if you have some tips or links or anything that you want people, like a book that you've read that you're like, oh my gosh, this is really going in alignment with what we're talking about here, please throw that out there. Right now, I'm just going to kind of ask everyone, and everybody's, conversation playing off of each other. Some of the things that you've seen. Lindsay, you said that you sold your business in January. So somehow you had a growth through the pandemic to the point where, things were sustainable. What were some of the changes that you saw happen during the pandemic when it comes to marketing and social media that you feel like changed, became strengths, or really kind of solidified things for the way that marketing and getting the word out about your business is going?
Yeah, we were a little different. I'm on the restaurant call with a lot of our area restaurants and heard what Richard had to say too. It's just, a lot of the pandemic was hard for small business. I think I found myself in a niche and there's some niches that did well in the pandemic, and a retail toy store, we had a growth year in 2020. Super grateful for that. And I'm saying this, it's not because these two topics line up, but me being able to tell my story was a huge part of why we were able to continue to see that growth in social media or in our business, because I did it on social media. Really just kind of tried to connect with moms through social media about where we were. I mean, we were all in an unknown in March. Initially, we thought we were going to be shut down 2 weeks, and moms of ages of all kids were kind of glass-eyed to think, oh my goodness, my kids are going to be home for 2 weeks. And so initially, we were speaking to that, and we were talking about it, and we were selling toys for 2 weeks at home. Well, that quickly transitioned, as we all know, into many, many more weeks, and mothers having to put together Easter baskets for their children while they were at home and they couldn't go and touch and do all those things in the store. So what I just saw through social media was the power to be able to use video, like Randy was talking about with the power of the voice. We've invested in great images on our social media, but me going on camera with my voice to say this would work for a 3-year-old girl, this would be great for a 10-year-old boy. My audience at the toy store was really able to engage and connect with that. And it really played into us having really the best year we've ever had. And then we just transitioned that. We built on that and we used it over summer when you weren't going to the movies or to play gator golf. So we told our story and we told them how to play and engage with their kids at home, like things you think they know. We just spoke to it. And then we transitioned that all the way into the Christmas season.
We'll get in some.
That's great, Lindsay. Well, and I think one of the things that we learned from you is you were so specific in giving them examples. We always think that, a mom of a 10-year-old boy would know what they want to do and interested in, but you actually gave them specific ideas, which was great. But so Ashley, you just put in the chat, which is really intriguing to me because this is a book that I've got on my list to buy. But you were saying, if you're figuring out how to write your business story, one of your recommendations is start with why. Can you tell us a little bit more about that book and why that's so important? Because like I said, I've got it on my list. I'm going to buy it today.
Yeah. So there are a couple of reasons that this book is important. First, it's like a super easy, quick read. I will be transparent. There's some of the advice in there that I think is great for small businesses. There's some that is more targeted toward larger businesses. So take that with a grain of salt. But if you're going to tell a story, the whole point of a story is that it has to have some kind of meaning to it. And for a small business, the meaning is your why. Why are you in business? Why is your business occupying a space and solving a problem for a customer that no other business can solve? And once you know that, you can start articulating that in a story-based format in order to connect with your key customers. So one of the things that science has told us, this is true, is that stories release oxytocin in our brains. That causes a pleasurable response. So story-based marketing can not only give somebody more pleasurable feelings towards your brand, stories are also a memory technique. So when you tell a story, people are more likely to remember that in the future. Now, when that has a meaning behind it, right? Science is also telling us now, new research suggests that meaningful stories are the most impactful in a marketing setting. Then that story is something that sticks. And once you get a story that sticks, that person is going to associate those good things with your brand. Mm-hmm. So starting with why, knowing the why behind what you're doing, ends up being the backbone of that story so that you can solve your customers' problems in an effective way, and then they can become advocates for your brand in the future.
Can I speak to what Ashley was saying too? Because I feel like we can take the toy store example and really put that into like a real-time example. So I'm the mother of 3 boys, and my boys are like, 12, 9, and 7. And I built that store over a 5-year period. So you can kind of see that timeline. And what Ashley's saying is what I was able to put into practice, and the result for us was increased sales. So I wanted to engage with moms and help them learn how to teach their kids how to play, because 25 years ago, moms didn't have to think about that, or maybe even 10 years ago. But our moms today today have so much competition, like screens and devices. So they need to be able to teach their kids to engage and to play. So that was my story, that I was a mother and that I wanted my kids to play more than they were on the screen. And I wanted to build that community. So what I would do was I would find a toy that would work for all of them or some of them. And then I would show pictures and write captions and show videos of them engaging together, me engaging with them. And I would walk through what the best aspects, like how it encouraged play, what the aspects of that toy were. And over a period of time, it set me up as an expert in play and in engaging with your kids, which resulted in increased sales. So Ashley, does that kind of all connect together in like a real-time example?
Yeah, it really does. And I would also say to that end, you know, one of the things you pointed out, and you're exactly right, is you know exactly who you're talking to and you know exactly what problem you're solving for them. And so if you think of any kind of story, I'll even go with like a movie that you watch, right? The movie starts with your main characters, and you don't have a movie if they don't have a problem that they're trying to solve by the end. This goes back to Randy's point about the hero's journey, right? Not that you need to know that, but you know, all stories kind of follow the same arc. Same with marketing. You're exactly right, Lindsay. You had someone who had a problem, and then everything you did, not only related to why you started your business, but also related to how you're going to solve that problem for that client. And you can talk to moms in a way that resonates with them. So if you're just giving them lists of data, and I know someone on this call is like a data scientist, and we can talk about data-based storytelling additionally later, but moms don't care. Moms have a limited amount of time. And we also know on a retail level that 80% or more of purchase decisions in a store are made by a woman. And then once we like list that up against mothers and grandmothers, we can start to do some even more targeted storytelling. But Lindsay, what you did is exactly right. Which you already know because you were successful and you sold your business. It's amazing, right? I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but just to articulate that in kind of a different way for other people. Once you know your why and you know your who and the problem, you can start creating a really meaningful story around that. And I'm going to make one other point and I will shut up, I promise. When we talk about the hero's journey, we're always talking about someone being the hero, okay? When you are marketing to your customer, you want your customer to be the hero. So many people, especially in the pandemic, feel like they have no agency and autonomy. Things are happening to them. So when you change your marketing strategy to make them feel like the center, right? That is incredibly powerful. And so you have to read the room, right? Your story is always going to have the same kernel of truth, but it's going to change, as Lindsay pointed out, depending on the external circumstances. I'm sure, Lindsay, your marketing in year 1 was not your marketing in year 5, even though the same thing you're doing is the same. So stories also have an evolutionary track to them too. So
absolutely. And I think that can help with the, you know, we talked a lot about pivoting in the pandemic. We kind of all got tired of that word, but I mean, you have to do that in a pandemic or not. Like you have to speak to the situation wherever you are and keep telling that same kernel, that same story. The root doesn't change, but the way we do it may change a little bit too.
Randy, I think that really one of the things that we hear a lot about is the vulnerability of storytelling. So we're kind of talking about mechanics right now, and we are talking about here. So I was thinking like Lindsay was the hero mom that was relating to the other hero, making the other moms the hero, but had to put herself out there and expose her own vulnerabilities and her own pain and her own challenges in order for that solution to come across in a relatable way. And one of the things you said about podcast is how voice is probably one of the most intimate. So we think about intimacy and vulnerability in storytelling. So what are some of the challenges that you see people come across in that vulnerability and intimacy, and how do you help people work through some of that?
Well, yeah, you know, I think part of it is just doing it over and over. Like people come to me all the time about, well, I want to start a podcast. What does it take? And I'm like, it takes repetition And it's just like with anything, I think that we do. A lot of times we expect that we just roll right into something and instantly we figure it out. But you've got to have what I like to call repetitions or reps. If you don't put those reps in, you don't get it. So just like what Lindsay was describing, I'm sure the first iteration of any video she created or any type of thing that she created to put out for the moms probably was flat. And then she eventually iterated upon it and each time got better so that by, before she sold the company, I'm sure everything that she put out, it looked like it was perfect, but that's because she put the reps in. And that's the thing that I tell small business owners all the time. You've got to show up and show out every day. You cannot expect that, to come to an event like this, get some really good advice from somebody like Ashley, and then say, I'm just going to implement that and wait for the calls to come in or wait for the emails or the instant messages to show up in my inbox. It doesn't work that way. You have to continually, as I'll use an old farm adage, prime the pump. And it won't be on the first push. It may not be on the 75th push, but at some point, as you continue to put yourself out there, get uncomfortable, tell your story and show other people how you solve the problem, right? Because most businesses are trying to solve problems that other people have or that they originally had. My problem specifically with the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast was that when I moved here in 2014, there was nothing to tell me what I could expect about what life would be like in Northwest Arkansas, let alone what life would be like in Northwest Arkansas as an African American. I had no idea. There was nothing I could Google, nothing. So I created what I thought was for me, what eventually became for everybody, because so many people have come to say, I am so glad you created this podcast because you've given me an inside, intimate look at to what the culture and the people are like in Northwest Arkansas. So you've got to, first of all, figure out what problem you're trying to solve. And a lot of times it will initially start with you, but then you slowly pivot yourself out of that avatar character whose problem you're solving. And then your client or ideal customer becomes that avatar, and you focus on what their needs are, and you try to continue to deliver that on a regular basis. And I do want to add two things that I put in the chat. There's two books that I recommend along with Ashley's. Simon Sinek's book, Wreck Me, Changed My Life. It's a game changer. But I also highly recommend Daniel Pink's book, To Sell Is Human. This book is excellent because for a lot of us on this call, we might be introverted, or maybe we just don't like being out. I'm an extrovert, obviously. I mean, if you haven't figured it out, but the bottom line is I don't struggle with words. I don't struggle with any of that, but there's a lot of people that do, that still have something to say. And so what Daniel Pink talks about is that you need to find where you are on the spectrum, which is why they came up with this word ambiversion, which is somewhere in between extroversion and introversion. Once you find out where you are on that spectrum, then you have a better understanding of how you need to present yourself to other people. And the other thing about that is that in his studies, and he did some scientific research, actually people that are more skewed toward the introverted side tend to be the better sellers. So you don't have to be loud and boisterous like me to sell something. I mean, I can sell ice to an Eskimo, but there's a lot of quiet people that can be extremely successful from a sales perspective. And the other thing I want to add is this book, Superfans. It's written by a friend of mine. His name is Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn is an online marketer. He does a lot of stuff online. He's I've known him for over a decade now. This book right here is really good because it helps you to understand that whether you are going out as an influencer, doing something with digital marketing, or even starting a toy company or a toy store like Lindsay did, you're going to have core super fans, people that are going to go to you before they go to Amazon, before they go to KB Toys. I don't even know if they're still in business, but the bottom line is, I was going to say Toys R Us, Lindsay, but they're not around either. So, but the bottom line is, once you know who your super fans are, that changes everything, because then you speak directly to them. This idea that when we open a business, we're serving everyone, you're not. You have to find your niche, and then you need to tap that and go deep. And the mistake that I see is that small business owners try to be all things to all people. And that is a fait accompli that's never going to end well for you as a small business owner.
Yeah.
I think we have
Can
a
I add
yeah, I
one
was
quick
gonna say,
thing?
yeah,
Sorry,
go for
we're both like,
Yeah.
go Ashley, and then I'll go.
One, Randy, I wish you had been around when I moved to Northwest Arkansas as a Latina in the early 2000s and was like, where do I fit in? I would have loved to have your podcast. But one thing I want to add to Randy's point is you, in order to do what he's saying, you have to tell an authentic story. You cannot fake it. That's because consumers are savvy. You know, maybe at the beginning of Facebook, you could have done something like that, but now we all are inundated in an attention economy now. Like we're all bombarded with marketing messages all the time. Like people can tell when it's BS, and they can tell when it's BS really fast. So whatever story you tell needs to be radically honest. And so I want to give you an example of this. Patagonia is one of my favorite large companies to look at for honest and authentic storytelling. Patagonia doesn't care who they alienate with their messaging when they are environment first and environment best, right? They are targeting one very specific customer. And that's who they want to sell to, and that's who they want to represent their brand. Once you get that core customer on board, they will start advocating for you. You don't always have to continue generating the story. We make one big mistake when it comes to storytelling as small business owners, and that's believing that we are the tellers of the story and everyone we're trying to reach is a listener of the story. In a social media era, that's not true. The people who are listening to our story are also participants in the story. They will share it. They will like elevate your content. They'll add to it. They'll adjust it. So if you do not have an authentic core to that, you're going to lose track of that narrative really, really quickly. One very quick example is Goya beans. So Goya's core customer is Hispanic. They're marketing specifically to Latinx Hispanic demographic. And when their CEO came out in favor of some anti-immigration policies a couple of years ago, they lost their core demographic and their brand could not regain the narrative. It blew up on social media, it got shared everywhere. And as a matter of fact, my aunt sent me some pictures from Texas, my home state, where she was at the grocery store trying to buy food. And there was one rack of food that was still on the shelf and it was Goya products. Like you have to make sure that what you're doing is authentic and every message you put out there is aligned with that.
Sorry, Amy, I just want to say
go for it. Go for it.
That conversation. And I think like as small business owners, because I told you guys like, and Randy and Ashley have their own small businesses too, but we're all wearing lots of hats and marketing is one of those hats that you wear as small business owners. And so you kind of, other small business owners that I work with, they'll say, well, I'm just not good at it. Like, I'm not good on camera. Like you must have always that just must have come naturally to you. I can't do that because I'm not good at it. And one of the things that I always try to encourage people is the whole start with the why. Like there's a reason that you do this. You're as a small business owner, you don't do something you're not passionate about, like you're invested in it. And so I encourage you to think about, I encourage you to write some of this down so you can really brainstorm it and think about it. But if I were to tell you that part of your homework today was that you had to create a video that kind of like introduces or tells your story, and you're going to look at me with big eyes, I can't do that. I can't do that. And I would say, just pretend that you're standing at your, I'm trying to think of some of the businesses that we have here, but you're Mary and you're standing there in your restaurant and somebody comes in and you've got to convince them why they need to eat with you. And just pretend you're not on camera. Like, what do you say to them? Like, why do you tell people you do what you do? Or why do you tell them they need to come and eat with you? Or, the food loops, like, why do you do that? What are you passionate about that? And pretend the camera's not there. and just talk about it. And that's how I would encourage you, because I feel like that's always the biggest hurdle. People say, well, I want to tell my story and I want to engage in an authentic marketing approach in that way, but I'm not good at it. That's what they'll say to me. So I would just encourage you from that way. Like, how would you sell your business and pretend you're not on camera?
I love that.
Yeah, and I would add this. So, because I do a lot of, like, right after this event, I'm going to be doing a public speaking event, but you have to, consider who your audience is, and then you need to come up with what you want to share with them. And sometimes that message is going to slightly adjust depending on who my audience is. So if I'm starting a new business in Fayetteville and I happen to have an audience with Mayor Lionel Jordan, my approach to him is going to be different than somebody walking into my business right off the street. I might say different things to them. And so that you almost need to work on your elevator pitch. And it's not like salesy. This is not Glengarry Glen Ross here. I'm not telling you to always be closing. What I am telling you, though, is to understand what your pitch is for your business and who your business is for. And so if it's a restaurant, then you need to be able to make a case for why people should, on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, come to your restaurant because of the specials that you put on, or why the weekends are a great time to come. Or if you're a meal prepper company and you can meal prep for people for 1 or 2 weeks at a time, take the onus off of the consumer and say, we'll solve these problems. We'll take these headaches away. We'll do all these things for you. So all you have to do is take these items, stick them in your fridge, and then go off each day as you continue your journey to weight loss. So whatever reason they're going through that. And I'm just making up stuff off the top of my head, but you need to have your pitch down, and that pitch will be tweaked depending on who your audience is.
I'd love to. You all have set a really great foundation for a breadth of challenges that any of these businesses might be having. So I'd love to turn it over to the businesses and say, what are the challenges that you're having, in getting your story out there? There's a lot of different platforms. There are a lot of different ways. And obviously, there's a huge focus on storytelling and authenticity and getting it out there, being consistent, I heard, as well as, just keep trying and iterating, just like you do in your businesses every day. So I'm curious what everybody is. And hi, Mary. Mary is a restaurant and she's joined us, but she is not for the dieting type. So she will not be. Maybe she'll sell you a salad at the pizza. But I would love to hear from all of you as to what some of your challenges are in putting yourself out there. Nobody says anything. I'll pick on Allison.
There's Emily.
Oh, there's Emily. There she is.
Yeah.
I know that we actually just recorded a video talking a lot about like what Mount Sequoia does, why we do it. We had a board member help us with it, so that was really great to bring in a board member to help with the filming. But I do know that one thing Mount Sequoia just got with a grant is a couple of cameras, some lighting, just some really basic equipment and tools, and we have a space dedicated to like housing some of this. So if anyone is needing a place to like record themselves, if you want to do it on your phone, we still have like tripods and things like that. But I know that I'm hopeful that will be a resource for other businesses in getting their story out. And I can say that it was really exciting to see on Facebook like how many likes and interactions and things we got from the video that we posted. I've read this for a long time that like I hate making videos, and so I was not looking forward to this process. But it's really like you do see people get excited, they share it more, Facebook shares it more, and so it does help tell your story better. So I don't know if that was helpful. One question I have is we're looking at having some of our artists produce some virtual content that people can share, that Mount Sequoia can share on their behalf. And I don't know a good platform on which to do this. Like we have a YouTube account, we have our website, we have Facebook, but any sort of information that people might have about sharing virtual content, I would love to hear.
Well, I can answer part of that. A couple of the other ideas I have that you might want to consider is employing an editorial calendar for your videos and come up with like, what are the top 50 questions that people always ask you guys at Mount Sequoia? Can I have a wedding there? Do you allow this? Do you allow that? I mean, all these questions that get answered, and you can go down a list right there. That's just, any business can do that. I would do the same thing at Food Loops. All the questions that people ask from an environmental standpoint about the impact that their waste is having, and you could just answer a bunch of questions. And I'm bringing them up because I know Michael Krause and I've worked with him on a number of things, and you need to work that out. So I would create a simple editorial calendar and then say, I'm going to endeavor to do 1 to 3 minute videos, because with videos you really want to keep it short. Anything beyond 3 to 5 minutes, you've got to really be telling a story. So I'm saying get in and do it very simple. The other piece to your question, which is creating a platform for others, right? Because you're doing it as a foundation of Mount Sequoia, what I would do is make a clear demarcation between what Mount Sequoia is all about and the fact that you've created this platform where artists and other local people can come and tell their story. And so I would consider a way to kind of do that in tandem with what you're doing for Mount Sequoia, the location specifically, because I think that would be exciting. I would even come up there and shoot a video. And to me, that's perfect branding for Mount Sequoia. And at the same time, I'm in a great location, because I've gone up there and shot some videos overlooking, standing there doing some selfie video shots overlooking the backdrop where you can see Old Main and everything sitting out over there. So, I mean, there's a million different things that you could do with that and set up some really cornerstone content that will stand the test of time, both for Mount Sequoia, but also for a number of artists and artisans, which we have many in Northwest Arkansas. They would really benefit from that. And, the whole thing would be like, where'd you shoot that? Mount Sequoia. And then it's just a perfect reminder.
Absolutely. Well, I wonder if that, and we're talking about a lot of different industries. One, thank you, Emily. That's a great service, because I know a lot technology stands in the way of a lot of the things that we're trying to do on a regular basis. What's the right thing? Ashley's posting left and right about some great things that you can do, and some apps and other ways to do that. Is there anything in the technical realm that any of you feel like is kind of standing in your way, or you feel a little intimidated by, or you have questions about, that might be something that our panelists can kind of help, or helping each other? Again, you all are welcome to throw some stuff out there that you found that works. Colin, I'm highly curious about when you're thinking of your data company, and you're also B2B, because you're selling to businesses, I think, if you're talking about business data. What are some of the things that you come up against when you're trying to get the word out about your business?
Well, I would say marketing budget would be one of them, right? I don't know how. I mean, I don't have the money to do it. And then I end up competing against some of these national companies where what I do is my specialty and I'm very good at it. But for the big national companies, this is like one little arm that, they kind of get somebody to do. So it's everything to me, but it's hardly anything to them, and they have the marketing money. So that I guess would be my biggest issue.
Can I ask you a question? Are they your core competition? Are you hoping to position your company against national
data
analytics?
No.
Well, my response to you would be, then don't really worry about them. Like, you figure out who your competition is, and then you can enter the market against them, see what they're doing. But I do understand what you mean by like having a low marketing budget or no marketing budget. I mean, I think if we're all being honest with ourselves, sometimes our marketing budget is like negative $100. So you can do a lot of this on your own, especially with social media. It's harder if you can't boost posts. I mean, algorithms can be kind of weird about that. But as you gain followers, your the algorithm will recognize your posts as more and more important. And Lindsay is the expert in this, not me. But I know it's hard because even with my company, I say, hey, I need to do marketing stuff for Interabang, but that doesn't make me money. Like, I think we can be really honest about that, right? Like, marketing from like a cost benefit perspective, when you're wearing all the hats, is really hard to prioritize because it's not putting food on your table initially, right? But marketing is what's going to grow your business in the long run. So one thing you can do is set aside 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week, right? Like 45 minutes a couple days. Maybe you do like 2-hour blocks on a Monday and a Friday, and that's your social media time where you post and you encourage people to share. Another thing that you can do on social media is start engaging with people who are your core customers. So search on Twitter for people who are asking questions about data analytics, respond to them for 45 minutes a day. Facebook too, like you can go to groups that have your target customer in there and answer questions for them for free for a little bit of time. Once you start engaging with people, they will start lifting your brand. Is this fast? No, I'm not going to pretend like it is, right? You're not going to do this for a month and be like, great, awesome. Like I now have 5 new clients. That's not the case. This is definitely kind of like a marathon, not a sprint, but it is possible to do this with almost no money.
Well, and Lindsay, do you want to pipe in here?
Yeah.
Because
I
we
know,
have a great example.
Randy, here's my elevator pitch for ASB TDC marketing. I would say too that, you know, this is one of the things that we do, and we're doing so much more of it right now. We have a great team of people assembled that can help you do that can come alongside you and help you think through some of these questions. We can put together creative briefs and help you know your brand identity so that you've got words on a page that when you're trying to come up with a content calendar like Randy's talking about, you could go back and read these words and see these things. We can talk about your target audience so you know who you're going after. I was going after moms at the toy store. We can help you identify those things. Then come alongside you with just some encouragement with teaching you about content calendars and scheduling tools like Ashley was talking about. Bye, Emily. There are so many different ways that we can help you. We have a graphic designer on our staff now that could, you know, we can work through some different things and teach you. We've got lots of upcoming training. We're going to do a Canva training where you can learn how to edit some of your own graphics and photos. So I could go on forever because I'm super passionate about this. It's part of why I chose to step into this, because small business owners do wear so many hats. And so often the marketing is pushed to the bottom, but I just believe in my bones, because I saw this happen with my own business, that you can't make it go to the bottom of the pile. You have to find the time. Bye, Richard. Thank you. You have to find the time to be able to do it.
Fantastic.
Can I just add real quick before you close out? I just posted a deck on there that you need to check out. It's Gary Vee's content strategy. I actually know Gary Vee too. He's really smart. He knows his stuff, but I mean, he will show you how to slice content 6 ways from Sunday. And so my simple response to Colin is that you really don't need the money you think you need to put yourself out there from a marketing perspective. And then to just chime in with what Lindsay's saying, we have the resources locally. I've never been to a place that has more resources at our disposal that are either free or extremely low cost. And somebody else just posted that the library's got all this new equipment, which they do. I've actually created a podcast training course for them that you can watch for free. Then you can go in there and rent and take out the equipment like you would a library book and use it either in the field or in their studio. We have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to access to both smart people and then great resources. So I would say what you can pick up with a couple of late fees at the library and going online and doing some research, you'll get all that you need in order to take whatever you're doing to the next level. So that would be my encouragement to you.
Absolutely.
Yes, I appreciate that. I do have one tangential question for Ashley. I'm just a curious person. Do you intentionally have your books by the same color behind you?
I do. I do have them organized by color. One of my best friends, Lindsay, this makes her irate. She's like, why is it not by author?
Not by
But I'm like,
category.
well, it's visually pretty. And I have an app that I use to track all of my books. So if I can't find it on my shelf, I can just pull up my app, and I know I have my, like, all my shelves are numbered. So I can just like go, listen, I'm very passionate about books. So yeah.
Literature is a thing.
I was going to say, Ashley, point your camera up. Show everyone how high that goes.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Wait.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Wait.
It's just-
This is the best part. This is the best part. But anyway, yeah, you can see the whole.
Yeah.
That's a real library.
Crazy.
It's a real library.
It's not.
Yeah.
It is not fake.
No,
Doesn't have to go to the library, even though she might want to. Well, and I
I
think
go to the library all the time. The library is the best place.
It
And
is.
bookstores.
Well, I know that people are having to pop off, and I cannot thank all of you enough for being here. It has been wonderful. All of you as businesses, thank you. You bring richness to our life every day. Again, you teach us something, you ask wonderful questions. Thank you to those in the field, Ashley, Randy, and Lindsay, and thanks to the ASBTDC team for being here. Please send your email to Julie in this last minute or so, Julie Preddy, if you haven't already, so that we can make sure we get you these notes. Well, I'm going to save the heck out of this chat because there's a lot of stuff, good stuff in here. We've also been taking notes. And again, we'll be hosting this forum on the last Wednesday of each month at 12 in March. We will be talking about e-commerce. It seems to be a really hot topic right now. And we'd love to hear about any other topics that you'd like to cover. You can email me. I'm amyr@uark.edu. Do not ask me how I got that, but I'm sure there are other Amy R's in the world, but somehow I landed it. And Chris at CASE, C-A-S-E, @walton.edu. With any of this.
And did you see Randy put his email in there too? Yep. Do you see Randy's email? Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you. So we are very accessible to you. Earlier, we posted also about how you can become a client. So Chris, would you like to just close us out? Tell us where you can find us online and all the other cool stuff we do.
Absolutely. So you can find a full listing of our workshops at sbtdc.uark.edu. And we also posted it in the chat. And please don't forget to follow us on social media. We are LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Lindsay runs all that for us, and it's absolutely amazing. But please don't hesitate, you guys, to contact us anytime. We're here to help you with anything at all that you need.
Yeah.
Good luck, guys.
Yes,
our YouTube channel.
On our YouTube channel.
University.
Yes.
Find that in the webinars, under the webinars tab, webinars and presentations. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Randy, I know you've got to hop off. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Peace. Good luck.
Thank everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.